Okay, so let's just so sit yourself on your lift and then just come into a cross legged position. So just have a little wriggle around so that you feel like you're sitting evenly. Feel that there's levelness at the hips, levelness underneath your feet. Sharpen the action of your feet by, often when you just kind of sit in a kind of an idle cross legs, often you kind of roll onto the top of the foot, but see if you can just sharpen the action of the foot by just really specifically coming onto the outside edge of the foot. So sharply just pressing that outside edge onto the foot rather than kind of rolling over on both feet. Grip around your knees. Lift and open the chest. Draw your shoulders down away from your ears. Soften your jaw. Just listen to the sound of the breath as it enters and as it exits. So as you sit, extend your spine upwards. Go for 100%. Just go for the maximum that you can possibly lift the chest. And then notice that, especially in this weather, that kind of becomes kind of wieldy after not very long. So just soften off to about 50 and then just lift the chest. So if there was like a dot on my chest here, it would be rising up towards my chin. So just bring it to 90. So 90 means that you're working hard, but you've still got somewhere to extend to. If you go to 100, there's not very much further you can go, if anywhere. So keep your eyes still in the sockets. Lifting the chest to 90 degrees, drawing your abdomen towards your spine. Just spend a few moments just to focus on filling the lungs entirely. So long, slow, deep, deliberate in-breaths. As long as there's no problem with heart conditions or high or low blood pressure, take a deep in-breath and just hold it for a moment or two, just without any tension. Just hold that breath so that the energy of the breath permeates out into the lining of the lungs. And follow with a long, slow, deep, deliberate out breath. So just hold in for a second or two, not for any longer. If there are heart conditions or blood pressure issues, then just normal breaths. That moment of kumbhaka is one of the most energizing ways of quickly bringing in oxygen, prana to the body. And bring your hands into Namaste, press the palms firmly together and close your eyes. So no longer focusing on kumbhaka, that moment of holding of the breath, just breathe normally. Long, complete in-breaths, long, complete out-breaths. So at the end of the session yesterday, I was talking about the physical body and the energetic body and the mental body and the intellectual body and the blissful body. The kosas of being, or the sheaths of being, one within the other, within the other, within the other, within the other. And so we focus, of course, on our physical body, and we try and draw our attention into the physical body. We also try to draw our mental body, our mind, into our energetic body, our breath. And so the beginning of the class is quite a deliberate sequence of actions, starting with focusing on the way we're sitting, then on the breath. Drawing our attention inwards. So feel as you inhale those floating ribs at the bottom of the rib cage. Feel them expand with the in-breath and contract or relax with the out-breath. Feel the chest cavity as a whole rise upwards and outwards with the in-breath, and lower and slightly relax and contract with the in-breath, with the out-breath. Gently draw your chin down to meet your chest. Spend a moment to seek to generate a genuine, heartfelt sense of gratitude for something or someone. Hold on to that feeling as you release your hands down toward your knees, palms facing upwards. And then as you raise your head, just allow your eyes to softly open. Just grip around your knees, lift and open the chest, drive the spine upwards as if the spine almost lifts of its own accord, and we just kind of facilitate that. Take a good deep in breath, and then with an exhalation, gently turn around to the right side. Just observing, is there any new restrictions? Are there any new areas of resistance? As you turn, continue to focus in on the breath. Using the in-breath, that feeling of expansion with the in-breath, and the out-breath helping you to turn a little more deeply. All the time going for 90 rather than 100. And then come back to the center, grip around your knees, lift and open the chest, drive the spine upwards. Take a deep inhalation and then turn with the exhalation to the left. gently come back to the center. Just come off your lift, down into Adho Mukha Virasana. So sitting back on your heels, just make a bit of space in the back of your knees by getting the fingers into the backs of the knees, drawing the calf flesh away, rolling that calf flesh out to the side. Just sit down onto your heels for a moment. Feel that the center of your shins are making contact with the floor, or again, like your feet, other shins kind of rolling onto the side, and then it's rolling onto the muscle. See if you can really sharpen the way that you sit on your shin, so it's just the center of the shin bone that makes contact with the floor. So if this was the shin bone, it would be kind of firmly on the floor, not kind of rolling out like this. So see if you can keep the shin bone firmly right in the middle, so that again activates the legs a little, activates the upper legs, activates the thighs. Lift and open the chest and then come forwards, trying to stay on the center blade of the calf, of the shin bone, and then come forwards. Maybe you find, because we're still having hot weather, that as you come forwards, maybe you can keep better contact with the seat bones and the heels. So sometimes at the end of the class, maybe when we come back into Adho Mukha Virasana, you can come into the pose with more connection between the seat bones and the heels. But sometimes when it's warm, we have better connection right from the start. And that's just an observation of warm weather and the response or the reaction of your body to being in the heat. So I think there's nothing nicer than going out for a walk and not having to take a coat, not having to take a jumper, not even thinking about it, just wearing a t-shirt, pair of shorts, and just walking around. There's something freeing about the warm weather that we're not really necessarily accustomed to in the UK. But nonetheless, it brings the sense of liberation in the body. So when you walk around in the heat, just observe how different your body feels. There's a freedom, a liberation. Not everyone likes the heat, of course. And some people find the heat kind of aggravates their body. It makes us sweat. But underneath the sweat, there's something freeing and liberating. So of course, everyone is different. Not everyone will feel that. But the difference in temperature around you does have an effect on you, whether that's good or bad. Just keep stretching your arms away, working at identifying where 90% is. Come up onto your knees, turn your toes under. If you remember what we did yesterday with our hands in dog down, we drew the index finger forwards as if it was 12 o'clock. The fingers point to, the index fingers point to 12 o'clock, then press the tip of the thumb into the floor and roll it towards the index finger. Press the tip of the middle finger into the floor and roll it towards the index finger. Do the same with the ring finger and with the little finger, pressing the tips of the fingers into the floor and rolling them all towards the index finger, letting the index finger be the free one, and then pressing the index knuckle into the floor and then lengthening into the finger. Sharpen the action of the outer elbows, hitting them inwards, and then maintaining that action in your arms. Come up into Adho Mukha Svanasana. Again, identifying your 90%. So we work maybe through the lower percentages to find our 90. So that doesn't mean, so finding and working at 90 doesn't mean that we just kind of become blobs of jelly and just hang there, because actually that just becomes really heavy very, very quickly. You've got to work to find the lightness. And so if you don't work, all you have is heaviness. So just everyone let go. Just don't do anything. Don't make any effort at all. And just notice how quickly it becomes unwieldy. And then lengthen inside the body again. Work and find your 90. 90 might not be right for you today. Maybe 85 might be better. Maybe 95 might be better. Step the feet forwards, come up into a standing position. Oh, seem to have lost the... Did everyone lose me there? I seem to go onto another window there, so hopefully you didn't lose me. So just have your feet hip width apart, turning the toes inwards. So have blocks for underneath your hands. So turn your toes in. Lift and open the chest, drive the chest upwards, squeeze the elbows really firmly together, like you're trying to hold on to a box of air between your hands. Lift and open the chest. And then hinge at the hips, keep the legs really firm. Hinge at the hips and then come forward, reaching down, finding the blocks under your hand, underneath your shoulders. So initially, just come onto heels of the hands and then try and work the legs, tighten the kneecaps, lift the thigh muscle up towards the top of the leg. And then project the chin and the chest forwards. So working to straighten the legs, and then lift and open the chest. Everyone come up onto your fingertips. On fingertips, it's easier to then lift from the wrist up to the armpit, up to the elbows and up into the armpits. So see if you can straighten your legs. So tighten the kneecap. So it might be the camera angle, Nick, but see if you can straighten your legs a little more. So tighten the kneecaps, press the top of the shin back, press the bottom thigh back, turn the thighs inwards, the fronts of the thighs inwards, turn the fronts of the shins inwards, so that the backs of the legs, the backs of the calves, the backs of the thighs feel like they broaden from the big toe side to the little toe side, they broaden out at the back. Lift the seat bones and then project the chin and the chest forward, straight arms, keep the arms straight. So working again to find your 90. But as you find your 90, half uttanasana is always a really good pose to kind of reset our efforts, because it becomes really obvious in half uttanasana which of the legs works more eagerly, which of the legs is reluctant. So try and even out, universalize the effort between the two legs. Which one dominates, which one follows. See if you can get the two legs to work evenly. Lift the front chest from the abdomen to the diaphragm, from the diaphragm to the collarbone, from the collarbone into the chin. Scoop in the shoulder blades inwards. Breathe in nice and softly. Keeping the head lifted, head projecting forwards. If there's no problems with your back, then we're going to go down lower. If there's problems with your back, stay with the blocks. You can bring the blocks down lower momentarily, and then maybe see if you can find the floor. But as you find the floor, maintain that evenness of effort in the legs. Turn the thighs in more. And then as you turn the thighs in, maybe you find that you can lift your seat bones higher away from the heels. So the more you turn the legs inwards, the more flexibility you get in the hips, maintaining that evenness of the effort between the legs, between the two legs. If you can come down a little further, gripping around the ankles. But get hold of, if you're coming all the way down, get hold of the abdomen and then broaden the abdominal flesh as you come down. So you draw those abdominal walls back. See if you can take hold around the backs of the heels, bending the elbows out to the side. Just let the head hang down, but maintain the action of your legs. Your legs are really important in this pose. Find that evenness, pulling the elbows out to the side and drawing the body in between the two legs. But maintaining that evenness of effort between the two legs. So can you draw your attention inwards to the physical body to identify whether there's evenness of effort? Okay, release your hands, bring your hands to your hips, and then just bend your knees, come up into a standing position, and then come to Tadasana. Just lift and open the chest. So have the inner edge of the feet together, spreading the toes, hitting the shins back, hitting the kneecaps through to the back of the knee, hitting the thighs back. Lengthening the tailbone downwards and inwards, but without disturbing the legs. That action of drawing the pelvis, the tailbone inwards responds into this front rim of the pelvis, and try and lift the front rim of the pelvis up towards the lower ribs. Lift the lower ribs up towards the collarbone. Stretch down into the arms as if you're kind of smoothing clay from the outside of the ear all the way down the shoulder into the outside of the arm, into the fingertips. Turn your palms and your arms all the way out. So it's not just the palms or the wrists, it's turning the triceps around towards the biceps. So the whole of the upper arm rotates in the socket. Lift and open the chest. Try and turn the palms as much as you can, so the upper arms get some opportunity to really rotate in the socket. And then raise the arms up. Keep rotating those arms in the sockets. I've run out of ceiling height here, but keep those triceps rotating around to the biceps, and then lengthen up towards the ceiling in Urdhva Hastasana, arms parallel. So arms like this, extending up, rotating from the outside of the arm towards the armpit region. Shoulders down, spreading the fingers. But again, you tire yourself at 100. So identify where is 90. 90 will be easier to hold. Okay, and then just gently release your arms down. Have the inner edge of the feet together. Lift and open the chest. Stretch the arms forwards. Draw your attention into each individual finger. Draw your consciousness into each individual finger. And then turn the palms all the way out. Again, rotating the triceps around towards the biceps right from the start. And then push the air like you're kind of swimming in breaststroke. As you reach behind you, keep rotating those triceps around to the biceps. That's the really important bit. Rotating this upper arm, like someone's got hold of that upper arm and they're rotating it around. So keep rotating it around and then stretch behind you. Keep rotating those upper arms and then bring the tips of the fingers together and then see if you can walk your hands up towards your neck. If you really can't hold and bring the hands into Namaste, if that's really impossible for you, then you can just get hold of your elbows like this. So bring your hands into Namaste. Try and creep them as high up your back as you possibly can. So once you've brought your hands up your back, then reset your legs in Tadasana. Shins back, kneecaps back, thighs back. Broaden your collarbone by drawing your elbows towards the back of the room. Lengthen from the elbows into the heels of the hands to bring the palms flat behind you. Lengthen the fingertips up towards the ceiling, and the head and the chest lifts with it. Lift your toes off the floor. So it's almost like you're going to take off. Breathe in nice and softly. In through the nose and out through the nose. And then just gently release your hands and then just stretch into fingertips. So just breathe in nice and softly, and then again rotate the arms, rotate the palms all the way around. So as you rotate the arms, kind of driving the thumbs around towards the back of the room, then you find that the chest opens. If you do it the other way around, turning the thumbs towards the back of the room, then the chest closes. So that can be useful in some of the poses, but often we want the chest to open. So when I say it's useful to kind of close the chest this way, it's not really useful once you're in the pose, but sometimes it's useful to get into the pose. Lift and open the chest. So one more time, stretch the arms out in front. Drawing your consciousness into your thumb, your index finger, into the middle finger, the ring finger, and the little finger. Feel that the palms spread. Feel that the legs are in Tadasana. Turn the palms, rotating the upper arms all the way. So this is where the chest kind of closes a little bit. But that's all right, just to start off with. Walk the hands up the back again with that closed action on the chest. And then when you brought your hands up your back, then you do the opposite. You broaden the chest. Pull the elbows towards the back of the room. Lengthen from the shoulders into the elbows. Then lengthen from the elbows in towards each other. Now, if you've got a bendy lumbar, chances are sometimes this makes you do this. So you have to really work your legs so that the thighs are directly over your heels. Tuck the tailbone in, draw the abdomen towards the spine, and lift the chest. So there's this opening of the chest, but try not to push forwards in the lumbar. Draw those abdominal walls back like we were doing the other week. And then just release. Again, maybe you drop the chest to release. And then rather than shaking the fingers, spread the palms. Breathe in nice and softly. Working the legs, resetting the legs. So you might want a belt for over your shoulder for Gomukhasana. Lifting and opening the chest. Stretch forwards with your left hand. Spread the palms. And then rotate that left hand all the way out. Again, rotating from the tricep to the bicep. So you really start to turn that hand. And then reach all the way behind you. Keep turning that palm up to face the ceiling. Again, the chest can kind of close a little bit at this stage. And then bend that elbow and then assist that arm up towards your neck. So the fingertips are reaching as close towards the neck as you can. Some people can get hold of that elbow and draw it in. Otherwise, you can just assist it with the other hand. And then raise up your right arm, reach up. And then reach down, but keep the elbow high. And you either hold on with your fingers like this, or you just take hold of the belt wherever you can. So this is my lighter side, my easier side. The other side I can't often reach very well. So pull the lifted elbow up towards the ceiling, lengthen from the armpit into the elbow. On the lower arm, lengthen from the shoulder down into the elbow. Pull the elbows apart. Soften the jaw and the tongue. Find your 90. So it's not just the arms that work, it's everything. The legs have to be in Tadasana, rotating those thighs inwards, tucking the tailbone in, tightening the kneecaps. Drawing those abdominal walls back, because these shoulder poses do often encourage you to overwork in your shoulders, keeping the head erect rather than just pointing down or like leaning over to one side. So the head is independent of the arms. After you've been there for a little while, just walk your hands a little bit closer together. And then release that top arm. The back arm will feel a little bit like it's stuck. So just let the chest drop a little and then just assist that arm out. And then again, resist the temptation to shake the arms and spread into the fingertips. Just breathe in nice and softly. Stretch forwards with your right arm. Turn the palm all the way out. Don't forget about this other arm, so keep that active as well. Turning the triceps to the biceps and then reach around, turning the tricep to the bicep, really rotating the upper arm in the socket, and then see if you can assist that hand up the back and then raising the left arm, reach out of the previous pose. So you should still feel that pose in there somewhere. And then if you can't take hold like me, you use a belt. So just hold on to the belt and then try and creep the hands together. So it doesn't feel quite as bad today as it did yesterday for me, but still need the belt. So raise in from the armpit into the elbow of this upper arm, from the shoulder down to the elbow in the lower arm. Try and prise the arms apart. Keep in Tadasana. In Tadasana everywhere else, not just in the legs, in the chest, in the abdomen. Breathe nice and softly. In through the nose and out through the nose. Stretch out of our morning stiffness. And then just gently release that top arm. And then just gently release the lower arm. And then turn the palms all the way up. Lift and open the chest. So breathe in nice and softly in through the nose and out through the nose. And then just gently release. So we're going to do Prasarita Padottanasana 2. Now I'm going to give you this. Let me show you first. I'll show you quickly. If you're not going to do Prasarita Padottanasana 2, then you're going to do it just normal Prasarita Padottanasana. So you bring the hands up into the back, again, working the arms as you have done. So we come up into the pose in Virasana. So the arms in Virasana, you step or jump your feet wide apart. And then just as normal, we come into the pose. But this time you've got your hands in your back and then you bring your head down. You don't let your legs hit forwards to bring the head down. You hit the legs back and work to drive the chest down. Now, if that feels too strong for you, then you just do it as normal with the hands in the back, in the hips, sorry, winging the elbows back, coming to the halfway point, and then either reaching down to the floor or using blocks underneath your hands and just staying at this first stage where you work your legs and then really try and drive the front chest forwards. So you can try it in the hands in Namaste to start off with, and then you can always release Namaste if it doesn't feel good for you. So stretch the arms forwards, turn the palms all the way out, rotating the triceps around towards the biceps, and then walk the hands up your back. So this is the third one we've done, and after 2, this starts to become a little more doable. And then step wide. So Prasarita, padottanasana, wide feet. So Nick, remember we said don't go quite so wide for you. Turn your toes in, tighten the kneecaps, hit your thighs back, tuck your tailbone in, and then lift and open the chest. Wing the elbows towards the back of the room. If you're just coming into this from Prasarita 1, have your hands on your hips and then continue to wing the elbows towards the back of the room. Lift and open the chest, and then keeping the legs really firm. Come forwards, hinging at the hips. So when the back, when the arms, hands even are in Namaste, keep your head lifted, Christine, that's it. Driving the front chest forwards, keeping the front chest long. So either come into the intermediate stage or have some blocks or whatever underneath your head. So softening the breath, listening to the sounds of the breath. So if you're kind of halfway and you can't come any further, then release your hands, just bring the hands down into Prasarita 1. Lengthening the chest forwards, listening to the sound of the breath. So if you need to, you can always just go into traditional Prasarita padottanasana 1. So cat, it looks like your hands are down. So bring your head down, walk your hands in line with the heels of the feet. That's it. Breathe in nice and softly. Okay. So it's quite strong to come up with the hands in the back. You can do it, but it's better to release the arms first, bring the hands to the floor, just come to the traditional kind of halfway point with Prasarita. Bring the heels of the hands down, bend your knees, and then step or jump the feet back together, and then come up into Tadasana. Lift and open the chest in Tadasana, and then raise the arms up in Urdhva Hastasana. Just listening to the sounds of the breath. Softening the jaw, softening the tongue. Activating the legs and the chest and the arms, the feet and the hands, and the head and the neck. Not necessarily in that order. And then release your arms down. And then just come down onto your back and into Supta Baddha. If you're feeling like you, Supta Baddha like this, if you're feeling kind of energized, then a headstand would be good at this stage. So either just come down into Supta Baddha, or if you feel that a headstand is going to be appropriate, so only do a headstand if you've done a headstand before. Just have the elbows as wide apart as your shoulders, lengthen into the fingertips, lengthen the thumbs towards the knuckles, keep the cup of the hand open, tuck the chin into the chest, bring your head into the hands, doing this against the wall if you don't do it in the middle of the room, and then just coming up. So what you find after all the work that we've done in the shoulders, this pose feels surprisingly light. So you can do it against the wall, of course. If you haven't done it before, then you should definitely do it against the wall. You don't come up into headstands if you're on a period or if you've got high or low blood pressure that hasn't been controlled with medication. So whichever pose you're doing, Supta Baddha Konasana or headstand, I want you to focus on the breath. Filling the lungs completely, feeling those lower ribs expanding and contracting. Feeling the whole of the rib cage expanding and contracting. So just breathe in nice and softly. Maintaining your headstand if you can. So Ruth, it looks like your elbows could come a little closer together. It could be the camera angle, but it looks like they need to be a little closer together. Push the elbows down into the floor, so lengthen from the armpits into the elbows. And then lengthen up into the heels. Push the heels up towards the ceiling. Pull the toes down towards the floor. Tadasana, your legs in. Headstand, press the big toes together. Try and prise your heels apart. Okay, if you're still in headstand, then gently bring yourself back down. Just rest in Adho Mukha Virasana for a moment or two. And then just come down into Supta Baddha Konasana. If you're still in Supta Baddha Konasana, then stay there. So stay in Supta Baddha Konasana. So come down onto your back into Supta Baddha Konasana. Everyone stretch your arms up towards the ceiling. But as you stretch your arms towards the ceiling, draw the abdominal walls towards the floor. Keep the outer shoulders, shoulder blades down in the floor. So as you raise your arms up, try and keep the outer shoulder blade down on the floor. Interlock your fingers, turn the palms of your hands all the way up. Squeeze the outer elbows in, and then lengthen your arms along the floor. Listening to the sound of the breath as it enters and as it exits. Just feeling the length of the side ribs as you extend your arms over. Just listening to the sounds of the breath. And then just gently release your arms. Just rest your hands on your lower ribs. Raise your arms up again. Interlock the fingers over your head, but this time interlock the fingers the wrong way. So the opposite index finger is on the top. Turn the palms all the way out again, and then lengthen your arms along the floor. And then release the arms, just rest your hands on your lower ribs. and then draw your knees towards each other. So we're going to go up into Chatush Padasana. So Chatush Padasana, I'll just rock yourself up into a seated position. I'll just quickly show you. You're going to reach around the fronts of your shins, come down onto the floor, and then you turn the tailbone in. Now at this stage, you kind of get stuck. So you have to rotate the triceps around to the biceps. So you come right up onto the tops of the shoulders. So the triceps around to the biceps, and then you hold. So you don't let your knees fall apart. You draw the knees directly over your heels, and then you just gently guide yourself down. So if you can't reach your heels, you can either throw a belt around your feet like this, or alternatively, you can just hold onto the sides of the mat, just grip the sides of the mat as you lift up. So get hold of the shins if you can, or throw the belt around it if you can't. Bring your head back down onto the floor, have your feet hip width apart, and then lift the seat bones. Turn the tailbone up towards the ceiling, and then gather your shoulder blades together. Rotate the triceps around to the biceps so you come right up onto the tops of your shoulders. Breathe in nice and softly. So in through the nose and out through the nose. So turn the tailbone in. So Ruth, see if you can come right up onto the tops of your shoulders. That's it. Keep the heels down on the floor if you can. So the action is to turn the tailbone in. Breathe in nice and softly, in through the nose. So Ian, your knees are falling apart a little. Your feet are turning out. So have your feet hip width apart. So don't bring the feet together, and then have the feet so that they're parallel, as if they're doing Tadasana. Just try not to turn your feet outwards. Okay, everyone come down onto gently release yourself down. And then pull your knees in towards your chest. Just have a little rock from top to bottom, from side to side, just gentle massage on the spine. And then just rock yourself up into a seated position. Just come into cross legs. Just lifting and opening your chest. Take a good deep in breath. And then with following exhalation, turn to the right side. Pushing the back hand into the floor, lifting and opening the chest, turning the spine. Come back to the center, just grip around your knees, lift and open the chest. Take a good deep in breath, and then just gently turn to the left. And then come back to the center. Just get your blanket for your head. And then just guide yourself down in a really good straight line, just down the center of your mat. So make sure you're in a really good straight line. Just come down onto the floor, take your glasses off if you're wearing them. And then just release your arms down into the floor. Allow the body to become heavy. Gently unhooking the muscles of the arms and of the legs. feel your energy rising to the top of the skin, the uppermost skin. Take some full, deep inhalations, bringing in oxygen and prana. Just using your breath to distribute your energy around the body. And then when you're ready, just gently wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers, just bring yourself back into this pose of Shavasana. And then pull your knees in towards your chest, just have a little rock from side to side, from top to bottom, just giving yourself a gentle massage on the spine. And then just gently, just kind of giving yourself that grounding massage. And then gently roll over onto your right side. Just stay down for a breath or two. And then straighten out the top leg, come back up into a seated position. Just final cross legs with the hands in Namaste, just a final spinal lift. Draw your breath in through your nose, down into your abdomen. Listen to the sound of the breath. Drawing the breath into the abdomen so that you become conscious of the energy that you have released through your practice this morning, that good, positive, healthy flow of clean energy that the extensions, the forward bends, the twists, the inversions bring to the body and to the mind. And then draw your chin down to meet your chest. Spend a moment to acknowledge the positive energy you have created inside. And then send some of that positive energy out into the world. As you go about your day, continue to send out positive energy. This positive energy brings more positive energy, and positive energy comes back to you. Gently release the backs of your hands down toward your knees, palms facing upwards. As you raise your head, allow your eyes to softly open. Focus to softly come back. So just notice whether as you open your eyes, there's a kind of a brightness to your alertness, to your consciousness. Maybe you've kind of woken yourself up in a really good, positive way, and you've got lots of positive energy for the rest of the day. So thank you very much for joining me today. Well, thank you very much.